I'm the first negative, I'm Paul, and we would be discussing why banning fracking would actually be a very bad idea. Because according to the EPA, natural gas electricity generation produces half the carbon dioxide of coal, less than a third of nitrogen oxides, and 1% of sulfur oxides. Best practices in natural gas drilling provide multiple lines of protection for groundwater resources. And there have actually been problems, but they have been very rare, and most importantly, they are avoidable. Just like any industrial activity, there are risks, but with good engineering and a combination with sensible and effective regulation, reduces those risks to maximize societal benefit. Water usage, often described as irresponsible, is small compared to the domestic water consumers. Marcellus shale gas development accounts for 1/100th of the domestic water usage in Pennsylvania, and 1/5 of what is used in the state solely to care for livestock. So we should utilize all our energy resources responsibly, but clearly some of them are much more important than others. We currently get 49% of our power from burning coal, 21% from nuclear, and 18% from natural gas. And this statistics was actually taken in 2011, and natural gas usage had gone significantly up. And it says that wind accounts for only 2%, and solar a mere 0.03%. If you look closer at wind, which is actually a great promise, and it has been expanding recently, Texas is actually the largest installed wind capacity in the United States, but on the order, however, wind doesn't blow all the time, so it's not a reliable source. There has not been evidence of significant evidence of groundwater contamination from fracking, and it says in the U.S. News debate, since 1947, hydraulic fracking has been used to extract more than 7 billion barrels of oil and 6 trillion feet of natural gas from deep underwater shale formation. The economic benefits of shale gas boom have been similarly great. In 2008, after innovation gave way to the surge of resources, a wellhead of natural gas plummeted on nearly 8 per 1,000 cubic feet to 3.67 per 1,000 cubic feet. This increase in domestic production has kept the prices low for American consumers who get 24% of their electricity from natural gas. When not too long ago, it was considered by foregone conclusion that the United States was running out of gas supplies. Additionally, advent of shale gas have given rise to enormous economic opportunities in places like Pennsylvania. The procedure of fracking, EPA has publicly stated that fracturing does not pose a significant threat to groundwater. If you just take a look at Pennsylvania, the number of wells drilled in 2010 was 30% less than the number in 2005. But even with this decrease in activity, Pennsylvania is producing roughly 12 times the volume of natural gas per day than it did back then. The core mechanics of fracturing natural gas hasn't well changed over many years, but we're talking about deployment of water, sand, and pressure with small percentage of additives down to a wellbore to enhance the flow of energy to it. Nothing in this world is actually entirely safe, but the standards of industrial activity in the United States, fracking is actually very, very safe. If you think about the airline industry, lots of things that can go wrong with airplanes, but we work very hard to make sure they don't. As a result, flying is one of the safest activities we got. Now that's not mentioning that it won't happen, but it just means that with proper attention, mistakes can be kept to an extremely low level. And aquifers, which is underground rivers that provide drinking water, are about 100 to 200 feet below the surface, and the gas-producing shale rock formations tend to be about 5,000 to 6,000 feet below the surface. So to make sure that you drill to pump water and chemicals to the shale to fracture it, and you have to make sure that the release of the gas is sealed properly, and that's not a very hard thing to do. According to this source by the NIH.gov, it says that in May 2012, the EPA designated a number of settings around the country as violating in Jamestown, New York, Denver, Dallas, Fort Worth, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Cleveland, and Wyoming. And it says that many also had poor air quality related to other industries, which you can't you can't blame the entire air pollution based on natural gas operations. The alternative to natural gas as of yet is burning coal, which has long presented serious public health and environmental concerns from the first recognition of dangers of soot, toxic ash, sulfur emissions, and this can be seen in Britain in the 19th century due to the sulfurous smog that killed thousands of Londoners in 1952. The environmental devastation wrought by acid rain and mercury emissions was actually first identified in 1970. In terms of the water, this country actually has enough natural gas to power itself for the next 200 years. We can access those reserves through hydraulic fracturing, and before any water, chemical, or sand mixture is used to frack shale, a steel pipe is encased with cement laid through the well. This system ensures that the fracking mixture is delivered directly to the shale layers, targeted for fracturing, which is around $10,000 to $15,000 aquifer. Then after the fracking mixture, as well released as the oil and the natural gas is then sucked back up and is again protected by the wellbore and stored in surface reserve tanks. The fracking mixture is actually 99.5% water, 0.5% chemical, and sand. In Brettling oil and gas, the chemical mix typically contains 15 to 30 different chemicals, with the emphasis on chemicals that are considered safe for human consumption. These chemical fluids that were injected into the wellbores more than 8,000 feet below the surface, the RT.com USA study finds that they were not detected above 3,000 feet. The chemical-laced fluids where potential health effects are hotly debated, therefore kept a considerable distance away from aquifers, which provide drinking water. After the fracking, it often returns the water and chemical use often returns to the surface as brine, having picked up a lot of salt in this journey. And this development of new technologies can make sure that fracking can be used with frack water, which is 10 times as salty as seawater, which in California, as a drought, you don't actually need to use drinking water to do these fracking procedures.